Hi everyone, we're here today. We're going to be doing a brisket. Going to be doing it on a Good One smoker, offset smoker. So we're going to use the Marshall today to do the brisket. A little large for just one piece of meat, but that's our demo model, so that's what we're going to cook on today. So we're going to go over here to the Marshall. We have it set up with our charcoal. Got it filled up with charcoal. Gonna get it lit. I got 3 fire starters down inside. So we're just gonna go ahead and get them lit. When we light them off, you have spinners on the bottom. That's your air coming into it. We're going to open them up at least 6 turns, which I have them already done. Got a couple vents on the top, have them set about 2 turns open, which we're really not going to mess with them the whole cook. And then we have a damper here, which controls our heat from this side going over to your smoker box. And we just have that open for now. And that's how we're really going to control our cooking today. Once this gets going and settled in, we're going to spin these down just to about 2 spins open. So we're going to let this heat up. While this is heating up, we're going to go back to the brisket. Going to start prepping the brisket here as this is getting ready. All right, so we have our brisket here. This brisket is a choice brisket, Black Angus. Don't know if that really matters on the brisket to me, but it's about a 15-pound whole brisket. So it is going to have your flat, going to have your point on here. We're going to go over some of the trimming steps with this. This is how, when you get a brisket, sometimes it'll have even more fat on. It's going to have fat on that top side. The bottom side is going to be one layer of fat. When we're done trimming this will look a lot different. We're going to trim it more for home cooking and low and slow. Today we're going to cook it around 250 degrees or so. If we were doing hot and fast, we would trim it up a little bit different than what we're going to do here for today. So we're going to get at it, do some trimming, take all this off, a lot of the other fat off of it. When we get done doing all the trimming, then we'll be back here and show you the end and get her seasoned. All right, so we're back here. I got it trimmed up. This is, for me, is good for home cooking on a brisket. I like to let a little fat on the top. We did trim a lot of it off here. Also, I do let a little layer on the bottom. Got a little tight to the meat here, but I like to let a little bit, 1/8 of an inch or so, onto it. Now, when we trimmed, this piece here is going to be your point. It's where you're going to get your burnt ends from. This is going to be your flat. What we did is I do go in there quite a ways. If you just follow that fat line, it'll actually separate the two. So I went in there quite a ways to open it up a little bit. So when we're done cooking with this, we're going to just go ahead and take a knife down through here, separate the two of them. You're also going to want to pay attention when you're smoking these. You can see the grain on this is going this way on this brisket. So when it's done, if you build a good bark to it, you're not going to see that grain, and you probably won't remember which way it's going. So something that we always do is I try to find that grain, which way it's going, and I'll take a notch off the end of it. So I know when this is done that I make my slices this way. If I go the opposite way with the grain, it can be a little chewier, so we always go against the grain to it. So we're ready now. We could go ahead and just season it up, but today we're going to go ahead and do some injection to it. So we have Kosmo's Reserve Blend beef injection. Adds a little more moisture to it, a little more flavor down in it. Simple to use. It's 2 cups of water for a 1/3 cup of the Reserve Blend. We have it all mixed up in here. So we're just gonna go in, do some injection here with it. And we're just gonna barely poke in a little squirt about every inch. Now this brisket, wanted to show you when we got it, they didn't have a whole lot to choose from up there. But it's a little thin here. It's not a thick flat on this. It is nice, when you're choosing a brisket to look through them, look for a thicker flat. But like I said, they didn't have a whole lot to choose from. Get a little bit in the point part of it. You'll see sometimes when you're injecting, you will get it to squirt out. So I try to hold my hand over it. You can also put a piece of saran wrap down over there. You might poke some through, but you can do that too, but to help protect. Just go back in here a couple places. And we're pretty good there. All right, so we have it injected good enough here for me. Now what we're gonna do is apply some duck fat on it. You can use oil. I like to use the duck fat, gives a little more richness of a flavor. So it's just a spray. So we're just gonna come in, give it a nice little coating. Every place we're gonna season it up. And that's it with that. And we're gonna come over it and give we have 2 different rubs here. We're gonna use 3 Little Pigs Texas beef and 3 Little Pigs Memphis. I'm gonna come over it with a real light coat of the Memphis. And you wanna get it nice and even that you don't get clumps of it on. And when you take that bite, it's really gonna hit you. I'm gonna cover this burn end and open this up a little bit in here, get a little flavor on that part of the burn end. Now when I do that, I don't season the back side. It's mainly fat. That flavor is really not going to pull into it. I'm going to get plenty of flavor and seasoning just doing the meat side of it. Then we're going to come through with our 3 Little Pigs Texas beef. This we're gonna coat it and give a good, even, heavy coat to it. Back inside here. Have a good coating. Now, I'm not gonna take and rub that in. I know we call them always barbecue rubs, or really not doing anything by rubbing it. I'm just gonna mix it up and have clumps here and there. You know, that's gonna set on there. You can pack it down just a little bit if you wanted to. But we're ready to go into the smoker at this point. So we're gonna go over here to the Marshall and get that. It's all set up and going, ready to have this stuff on. So we're gonna head over there. All right, so we're back here. We had closed the lid a while ago. We got a good even hot fire the whole way across. We're gonna use today a little bit of cherry and Texas post oak. I'm just gonna put a couple pieces around in here. With the Marshall, it doesn't take a lot of wood to get the flavor, you know, that smoke that we want to it. So we're gonna go ahead and close this up and come over to this side. This is our damper, which I backed it way down now. On this side, you know, we should be running right about, yep, right at 250. So we have it set, have our dials down. We took a couple of the racks out of this. This unit actually, it comes with 4 racks, but we took a couple out, and we're just gonna put it on this one right here. Close her up, and we'll come back. We'll check this here in about 4 or 5 hours and see how we're doing. All right, so just going to give a brief rundown over the Goodwin line. We have the open range, the Heritage Oven, the Marshall, 3 different sizes depending, you know, how much you want to cook. The open range, great unit for backyard, smaller parties. You can do about four butts at a time on an open, or the open range. You're going to have 2 racks inside, a top rack and a bottom rack, so you can double up on it, or just use one. You also get a rack for the other side, like is on the Heritage Oven here, so your charcoal always goes in this side. You have this flap, so that damper I was showing you controls this flap, gives me a complete even temperature the whole way across. So as an offset, it's great that way. I'm not fighting temperatures all over the smoker. I'm going to keep a very even temperature, a very even burn with it the whole time. Unlike a lot of, you know, typical offsets, if they're not designed well, you're going to get hot and cold spots all over the smoker. I don't get that here. This grate we kept out, as you saw in the Marshall. We didn't have it in there. So I keep this out. Now if I wanted to sear something or grill, I can certainly put this in. I can cook right over the fire. People that like to do thick reverse sear steaks, this unit is awesome for that. I can start smoking them up here low and slow at 250, 275, flip them down here and sear them off. So it's I don't have to wait. I'm right over the hot coals. Heritage Oven, it's going to have your 3 racks to it, drip pan in the bottom, fully adjustable racks, and you can also add racks. Same spinners on the top of it, same spinners on the bottom at the firebox. They have the optional stainless steel shells for the front, but just an overall great smoker. You can fill that up, go 4 to 8, 10 hours at a time on a load of charcoal with it. Depending on your temperature and stuff outside, but really like cooking on a Goodwin smoker. All right, so we're back. It's been about 4.5 hours since we put the brisket on. We're still running right at the 250 temperature wise. We're going to go ahead and wrap this brisket. It should be in that 160, 170 temperature range. We're going to check it here in a minute with our thermopen. I like to wrap them. We'll speed up the cook a little bit. Plus I also like to save the juice from it to use once we're done. So we're going to go ahead and open this up, check it out. It's looking good. Yeah, hitting right just a little less than 160. We're gonna go ahead and get this out, get it wrapped, and that'll speed it up a little bit. All right, so we're gonna get this wrapped up. I always use a double wrap of foil. I'm gonna set this back in here. We're gonna let that go. Probably gonna be about 3 hours. We're gonna now crank the temp up a little bit to it. Let that come up. Probably end up cooking about 300 degrees now to get this finished off. All right, so we're back. It's been about 3 hours or so. Still running just under 300. As I said, we gonna bump the temp up a little bit once we wrapped it. So we're gonna go ahead and check this. We should be really, really close at this point. So I'm poking in. I want to get with very little resistance to it. If it's tough, just gonna need to let it continue to cook some. But that there is right on. Check up here in the point. That there is very good. So what we're gonna do is gonna take it out. Let this rest for a while. Up. So if it got done and you weren't ready to serve it, I like to let them rest for about 2 hours. We'll take them and drop them in a cooler, put a towel or something over the top so that it stays hot, and then get it out and serve it up. So we're just going to take this, set it aside for a while, and we'll be back and slice this up. All right, so we're back. We have left it rest. I'm going to go ahead and get her out here. So there we go. We're done with it. You can see the angle that I put on there, so I know as I slice it, I'm going to slice it this way. I'm going to go ahead and separate this point from the flat. Now some people will take this and throw this back on the grill. You can cube it up, which we will, and put it in sauce and put it back on. We're just going to sort of cube it up and put a little sauce on and eat it. I'm going to take the flat. I could just start doing some slices off the end. We're just going to go in the middle here. Got a slice. We don't want it just to fall apart, but it should just pull very easily, just coming apart without much pull to it. If it falls apart, just a little overdone, you're not going to get the real nice slices out of it. We're we're gonna let that go. And then we have a lot of juice left in here, which I wanted to keep. So what I'm gonna do is take and mix up a little bit of Smoky Mountain from Blues Hog. So I'm just gonna take and put a little bit of that in. I'm gonna take and mix in a little bit of the juice that we got out. I'm going to hold back from slicing this whole brisket, but mix that up, thins out that Smoky Mountain, just gives a little extra to it. And then just put a little bit over once you have it all sliced. Oh my. Now we're going to go ahead and cube up the burnt ends. We're going to cut them about 1-inch pieces. And for me, I just like to take and mop a little bit of this sauce, a little bit of the juice mixture. And you can do this how you want. If you like a lot of barbecue sauce on it, go ahead. These little guys really don't need a whole lot of anything. They're broke down, just come apart. Oh my. So then we're going to keep the rest of the juice in here. I'm going to mix up a little more sauce, slice this up, and we're good to go.